Welcome back, folks. This will be my second video in my post Nostalrius series of videos, I guess. I'm not sure what exactly to call these. As you can see, I've kept both of the labeling on these, and as with last time, there will be absolutely no backing track. Again, no material that Blizzard could use to give them to DMCA or have it pulled down. With that being said, this is specifically a video on the topic of franchising and licensing. An interesting idea was brought up on the previous video I did in the comments that we own already the original games. If anyone is playing Cataclysm of any sort, or Warlords of Draenor, or Pandaria, they also, of course, own the base game, World of Warcraft, and Burning Crusade. They own those games. Or at least they own the licensing to play the game. Which made me wonder, with things such as licensing and franchising, is that a solution we can use to go forward with? Now, you're probably curious, what does franchising and licensing mean in this situation? Let's go over those in detail here. Franchising first. Franchising in this situation would mean Blizzard would directly partner with different groups who would then become not company subsidiaries, but partners with Blizzard that would open up their own franchise servers. So they would, in essence, become a third-party extension of Blizzard. While not directly managed, they would report to them not only to determine what kind of costs need to be associated with the server and how it's being run, or the stats and settings. Now, what this means is, let's say you have a group of individuals who want to start their own private server. Okay, this is good. They want to be creative and give something back to the community. How do they do it? They get in contact with Blizzard and say, hey, we want to open up a server. We'd like to be part of your server franchise program. Blizzard says, okay, here's how we're going to work with you. These are the options that you can provide to your service, to your community. This is the amount of money it's going to take to make sure this happens. Here is our cut of the profits we're going to take from you. And here's everything moving forward. That's, in essence, what this means. Now, next big question is, would Blizzard go for something like this? Probably not. Franchising in this situation is a very involved process. Something that is probably outside the range of what they want to do. They have enough going on trying to manage their, albeit struggling, retail servers. That makes them still quite a lot of money based off the millions of subscribers they do have. That's not something anyone can argue. And while franchising is a little bit of an idealistic setting for us, because it's not based, it wouldn't be based off of, okay, you need to pay a licensing fee, you would need to spend a large cut of your profits sending it back to the parent company. It's probably not going to happen, because that would require a guarantee of profits. And as popular as private servers are, there's no guarantee. Not in this situation. Now, there is the other option. Licensing. Now, what does licensing mean for this situation? A license is not a franchise in which Blizzard works directly with the group looking to open a private server or a public server, depending on how they want to do it, they instead go about it in this kind of fashion. The group looking to open a private server, either vanilla, Burning Crusade, or otherwise, contacts Blizzard and says, okay, we'd like to open a server. Here's the expansion we want it to be set to for right now. What is that going to cost us for a license? And then Blizzard says, okay, well, the price is going to be based off of certain criteria. And the group wishing to open the server would either have to pay a flat rate, a flat fee, a per person fee, or a per population fee, which can be based again off many different things. So things like a flat rate or a flat fee would either be a flat certain amount every single month, much like a rent payment or a car payment. It would be static, it would be unchanging, but it's something you'd have to pay every single month to maintain the license. The other, a flat fee, instead of a flat rate, would be a single large payment you would have to pay to purchase the license. So it'd be, instead of a subscription, which would probably be more attractive to Blizzard, all things considered, it would be more of, okay, you are purchasing the full license right now up front. So essentially like buying a car and having to pay 100% up front right now. Which, although I'm sure the instantaneous cash infusion might be attractive, I don't think it's something Blizzard would go for. They like that continuous dollar sign rolling in. And they could probably make more money off it then. I think this would be very reasonable for them. They could also charge based off of the amount of registered accounts on the server. They could also base it off of the amount of registered characters on the server. So for every 100 characters registered, you have to pay this much every month. And that goes up in certain increments. The same with registered accounts. You can have 1,000 registered accounts before you move up to the next tier of how much you owe every month or how much you owe every year, depending upon how it might want to be structured. Now, again, this is all speculative, but I think both the franchising and licensing options are immensely better than what we have right now, which is Blizzard says, oh, right, something was going on here. Those are the two ideas that have come forward, at least within my circles, and shown some decent promise. Now, what are the bonuses? What are the benefits of these happening? With the franchising, it's at least somewhat indirect, direct Blizzard involvement. Blizzard has some kind of hand or some kind of presence in with these franchised private servers. They're not providing the structure. They're not providing the forums, the quality assurance. They're not providing the staff. That's all on the individual group's end. But they are doing a kind of maintenance check to make sure everything is in perfect working order. Now, when something isn't in perfect working order, it's either the responsibility of the group to make sure it gets in working order, or Blizzard steps in and says, okay, this is how you solve this problem. We've been here before. Here's our experience and knowledge on it. Get it fixed. Which, again, both would solve the problem equally well. I hope. What are the bonuses to us as the community if a franchise server situation were to happen? The support would be better. Servers would be a little higher quality. Not to say they're bad quality right now. They would also be a little more well regulated, where you wouldn't be able to buy items to boost, most likely. You would have basic payable options like character changes, name changes, although some people would disagree with that, and I'm absolutely certain there'd be vanilla servers that wouldn't allow any of those things, which is fine. That's great. I approve of that, to be honest. There was a time in WoW history where If you got a bad reputation on a server, good luck. Good luck. You're probably screwed. Go ahead and roll a new character, son. There are, of course, drawbacks where Blizzard would be at least indirectly involved in the servers, which if they see something they don't like, they could threaten the franchise. Not good. So there's balance here. Now, as for the licensing option, I think there's a lot more benefits to this because I don't want to say it protects the diversity of servers we've seen, but I think that's kind of what it does. Where it allows for the enhanced mass selection that we see now. I mean, we have servers that are exact 1-to-1 ratios of original Blizzard vanilla stats. Exact same leveling speed, exact same gold rate, exact same drop rates, exact same mob spawns. There are servers that enhance almost everything to speed up the process. There are servers that focus almost entirely on PvP. There are servers that have these very specific stat settings to create a certain kind of community and to cater to a certain kind of community. That's beautiful. And I believe the licensing option provides a better system for that. The downside, it is probably going to be a bit more expensive. It is going to not be a cut of profit, but a cut of, hey, you got to pay this fee every month. Or, hey, you got to take out a loan to pay this licensing fee up front. Or we need to monitor the amount of accounts and characters on the server. Or we need to monitor activity to decide, all right, how much do we have to take out of our pocketbook to make this happen? And how do we get that money back to keep paying every month? That would probably force some servers to go into a very high subscriber fee mode, or at least force servers to go into a, hey, donate something to play on the server every month. It can be $1, but please donate something. It could also, and I'm trying to word this in the correct way while not trying to sound offensive or insensitive, but there are some servers out there now with vanilla and Burning Crusade content that I think half-ass it. So both of these options, more the licensing than not the licensing, more of the franchising than the licensing. But both options help kind of clean that up a little bit to make sure if a server is open for vanilla or Burning Crusade content, it is of a high quality. And I think that's important because, especially in a franchise situation, Blizzard is kind of just peeking over shoulders a little bit just to keep an eye on what's going on. And that can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing. But I do believe it would mean there'd be some basic level of quality control. With a licensing situation, not as much, but the fee required would certainly make it so servers that were of very low quality or of bad quality eventually did shut down because everyone went to the ones who were better. And they're the ones that accumulated the enough money to survive for long enough to really build a base. Now, what are the benefits to us? I already talked about this a little bit, but what are the benefits to us for licensing especially? That diversity is a big thing for me. The fact that I have one server here, like Nostalrius was, that is an exact carbon copy of vanilla. And I can go to this other server, and it's just PvP heaven. You can start out with a 60 PvP gear, and you can go and you can crush some faces. And it's more arena-like with the battleground setup. That could be a lot of fun. And I would probably sub to both servers. Now the question is, though, now that we're in a post-Nostalrius world where Blizzard has shown they do not care about our wants and needs, what happens if they do nothing? Now, I have notes, and this is highlighted as the alternative, which is my way of saying, okay, Blizzard, you have these options that the community is trying to create to work with you despite your horrible actions, despite your immorality. We still want to work with you to make this happen. We still want to help you make money on the product you created. But there's also the alternative, that Blizzard continues to not care despite the fact that in this very video, I'm trying to show that they can make money off privatized servers. Through either franchising or licensing, they can make money without having to put out the support structure, without having to create the new servers. They can still do it. The alternative, Blizzard doesn't care. They are out simply to spite us. They're out not for protecting the IP like they continue to claim, but for spite, but for anger, but out of a pettiness. To tell us, as they think we're children, that we're wrong and that we think we want it, but we don't. Now, if that's the situation, and we continue along the present course, Vanilla and Burning Crusade servers are sprouting up everywhere right now. The Nostalrius Reborn project alone gives me great hope for the future, as they are making a major effort to reach out to the Nostalrius developers, get the databases, and get everything back online where it was. And they're just one group. I'm playing on a new server. I might even be streaming it over on my side account, twitch.tv/DanAnation, which is different from our main Rob and Dan Show Twitch account. Link will be down below. The spreading of seeds that I mentioned in the last video, that diaspora almost from Nostalrius. Nostalrius was the biggest vanilla server, and it grew faster than anyone could have expected. And since it got crushed, guess where those people went? Not back to the vanilla servers. I can guarantee you, because every vanilla server out there right now, every private vanilla server is seeing a massive population boost, from the smallest to the biggest. Now, I didn't roll on the biggest. I didn't go to Kronos. I did not go to Phoenix. I did not go to one of the big ones. I went to one of the mid to smaller sized ones, because even that population is growing. Blizzard has, if they continue this path, sealed their own destruction. They've only made Nostalrius a martyr, as a sign that I have their name up here in the video. And if they keep crushing servers, more will just keep popping up. People will say, well, this didn't work. I want to do this my way. Now, if just two groups of people, let's say, for each server that gets shut down, let's say only, and this is a conservative estimate, 2 different groups of people pop up and say, well, that was a good server. I'd like to do it a little differently. And those 2 groups each take that concept of that previous server that got shut down, aka Nostalrius, and take it in a slightly different direction, make 2 different servers. So you had one server. Congratulations, Blizzard. You crushed this server. There are 2 more that popped up that you have to go through legal proceedings and crush now too, just because you crushed this one server. This is a conservative estimate. The amount of new websites that have been registered to show new vanilla and BC servers is impressive. And it shows great resolve in those of us that want to actively support a product we enjoy and appreciate. And this is absolutely 100% Blizzard's product. And if they weren't being douchebags about it, I would still be giving them $15 a month to play not on their servers, to not give them traffic, but to give vanilla servers their traffic. And that brings me to the next point. While certainly Blizzard wants to focus on the retail servers, there's a reason they stopped publishing those numbers. Up until they stopped publishing them, they were steadily declining despite the amount of new content being provided. Despite everything that they were doing, it was showing strict decline in player numbers. Now, that's not saying the amount of people with active accounts was going down. The amount of people playing on the servers were going down. The amount of activity on those servers was declining rapidly. This hasn't helped. People don't want to go back to sitting around in the garrison or soon to be guild hall, sending out missions and waiting in queue, because that's still what they're going to get. And on top of that, in this new expansion, people have to deal with being called the Chosen One, of being champion of the world. Did they earn it? I think that's a reasonable question. If you were the one person, if you're the person who went through Molten Core, went through Blackwing Lair, Zul'Gurub multiple times, Zulaman multiple times, who went through AQ 2040, who went through the Burning Crusade in full, who stopped Kael'thas and Illidan, who now is being turned into Horn Jesus. I thought Thrall was Jesus of this universe, whatever. If you went through and stopped the Lich King, if you went through and did all that, like your character, like you played from vanilla and you actually did all that, I might buy it. I don't believe many people who are still playing in retail ever did any of that stuff when it was live and up to date and championed through it and struggled with it as we all did. That's my other peeve around the new expansion. I can't do it. I've gone off on a tangent though. Moving forward here, even if private and vanilla servers continue to drive forward in popularity, and I'm reading this verbatim from my notes here, the lack of focus and regulation between any of them is directly harmful to the game as a whole. The fact that private servers, despite the fact that they have seen success, specifically with Nostalrius, the fact that they're not regulated, they're not endorsed, and they'll keep being crushed and divided is only directly harmful to the game and creates immense rifts in the community. Look at the people who still somehow champion Blizzard as being the always right, always correct. And anyone who disagrees is harmful, is trying to steal content, is trying to hurt others. They have no point. We have no point of existence. We're just trying to steal and play a game for free. We're not trying to be passionate about what we love, about what we enjoy. That wouldn't make any sense. If they continue along this path, this alternative that we've been talking about, it is going to bring a swifter end to World of Warcraft. It's going to speed up the time that Blizzard simply closes the game, because not enough people are going to be playing it to make money. Now, you want to make money, Blizzard? Look at licensing or franchising for private servers. Don't say, well, no, we have to have direct control of all things all the time, because that's not what made Warcraft the best when it came to not just strategy, but RPGs. And yeah, I consider World of Warcraft vanilla an RPG. Not necessarily even MMORPG all the time, but sometimes just an RPG. As a side note, I think I figured out what it is that really makes vanilla better than almost anything else they put out. Burning Crusade, even to a certain extent. It's the same reason we like Dungeons and Dragons. We've seen the maps. We know the directions you have to take through most of the tunnels and corridors or hallways. We know the classes already. Hell, we've known the classes for ages. That's not the point. The point is, the edge of difficulty between success and failure is so close in vanilla that you get to have that adventure. Whether you're with friends or not, you get to have that adventure of, you don't know if you're going to survive. You don't have that privileged frame of reference. You don't have any kind of mystical or magical potential beyond the fact that, well, you died. You get to res now. You're still fucked, but you get to res. Blizzard must do something, because we're not going to stop. Whether it's them reaching out to the people who make private servers and say, okay, we want to work with you. We want to get an income in from our game. And we want your communities to be able to benefit from a little more regularity and support. How can we make a deal? Here's how. These are not these ideas of licensing and franchising. They're not just concepts I've pulled out of my ass. These are things that have worked successfully in the business world for a long time. They know their subscription base too. They know that income on a monthly basis is still a very well-defined functional thing that can be pulled off in the favor of licensing. Blizzard, this is for your benefit. If any of you are out there listening right now, this is for your benefit. Because we're not going to stop. But that doesn't mean we don't want you to also be a part of this. Because if, Blizzard, when you act in a positive way that shows you actually do care about us as people who love your game and support your game for what it was, not really for what it is right now, but what it was, without a shadow of a doubt, we want to work with you to make sure you're getting adequate dues for the product you made. And these are ideas to help that along. If you choose to ignore this, by all means ignore it. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop. You think you do, but you don't, Blizzard. Those are my thoughts on licensing and franchising and the alternative if Blizzard continues to not take actions. If you felt in any way that I was overly critical or harsh during this video, I was a little more direct. I understand I was a little more direct. I also had quite a bit more notes to go through during this. Please comment. Please post. I read every comment, I assure you. The most I would encourage all of you to do, though, is don't stop playing. Don't stop creating. Keep this dialogue going. The more we talk about this, the more we try to talk to Blizzard about this, the more Blizzard sees that we are passionate, caring individuals who want to help and support a game they created, it's going to be for the better. So please, by all means, continue the dialogue, guys. For everyone, I have been Dan, and this has been my thought on licensing and franchising for private servers for Vanilla WoW here on the Rob and Dan Show. As one of my favorite broadcasters likes to say, good night and good luck.